On the Sunday, there was a memorial service for Bill W. in the cathedral in Bristol, and it began with the Dean of Bristol saying some prayers of remembrance. Then the preamble was read, and then the opening of chapter 5 of the big book, with the reading of the steps. And after that, Bob H. spoke about his memories of Bill.
I've been asked to speak here today about Bill, but since I can speak of him only as I knew him, this will have to be essentially a personal remembrance. I saw Bill for the first time at my first AA meeting. He stood tall, and there was something about him, a magnetism perhaps, that set him apart from the rest of us. When I needed help a few weeks later, it was to him I turned. I went down to his office on Busy Street to see him, and he took an hour out of his busy day to share his experience, strength, and hope with me. He did more. He made a phone call and got me the sponsor I so badly needed. That was in 1942. A few years later, the future was much on Bill's mind. AA's future, that is. He seemed unconcerned about his own. The rest of us talked of the future too, but for us, this was only tomorrow. He looked into the decades ahead. Even then, planning for the day when he would no longer be with us. AA could have been his movement. He chose to give it to us. He could have continued to make all the decisions, but he stepped aside so that we could make them ourselves. By so doing, he assured our future. For from these acts of love and humility, the General Service Conference was born. But not even that came easily. Bill had to fight for it. Fortunately for all AAs, Bill was a fighter. Make no mistake about that. What else was he? This man to whom so many owe their lives. Did any of us really know him? No matter. When we were with him, we knew we were in the presence of greatness. Visionary, realist, fighter, conciliator. He was all of these. And one thing more. He was, I think, a man inspired by God. I had the privilege of working with Bill in 1952. The year 1968 brought me a second chance to work with him at our General Service office. He seemed much the same to me, a little older perhaps, but then so were we all. He never offered advice gratuitously to us in the office, but his door was always open. I remember his warmth and laughter especially. A year ago last spring, for the first time really, it dawned on us that Bill was mortal. We had always taken him so much for granted. None of us who were in Miami in the summer of 1970 will ever forget what he did for us there. When he rose from wheelchair to lectern, he was a commanding presence once more. His voice vigorous, his humor intact, he was, for those few minutes, the Bill we had always known. What that effort cost him, we shall never know. As the summer faded into the fall, I think we all knew, really, that Bill would not be with us for long. Bill needs no encomiums from us, no monuments of stone or steel. He will live in our hearts and in the fellowship he left behind him. I can think of no better way to conclude this brief remembrance than with Bill's own words. Regardless of worldly success or failure, regardless of pain or joy, regardless of sickness or health, or even of death itself, a new life of endless possibilities can be lived if we are willing to continue our awakening.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this recording and would like to listen to other talks on recovery, please visit our free website at recoveryspeakers.com. We have assembled the largest historical recovery audio library in the world and are adding new talks each day.